that record button. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you are well. My name is Michelle. I'm here in Amiskwaci, Waskagan, Treaty 6 territory, Edmonton. We have a beautiful day, smoky. It's smoky here where we are, but nonetheless, a beautiful day, beautiful summer day. I hope wherever you are, wherever you're tuning in from, that you are noticing the beauty that's all around. Creator is nothing but goodness and beauty. So sometimes even in those hard moments, hard days, sometimes we got to look a little bit harder to see that beauty and that goodness that is always surrounding us. So we just give a shout out to the Creator for this gift of another day, this opportunity to meet virtually here. So welcome to Innovate BC. We are glad that you are here. I'm super excited with our guest speaker. She's so dynamic. And so passionate about what she teaches. But before we pass the virtual mic to her, I'm really honored to introduce our friend with Innovate BC, Fernanda. She's going to talk a little bit about Innovate BC. So let us know what's going on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to be here this morning and say hi to all of you on behalf of Innovate BC. So this is just, I'm just going to take a couple of minutes before Loa. I know everybody's excited and anxious to hear her, but I'm just want to say a few words about Innovate BC. And we're really happy to support Cando and with this Innovate BC series. I don't think I need to share my screen. I'm just going to say a few words. Innovate BC, as some of you may know, is a Crown agency. So we receive funding and guidance from the provincial government here in British Columbia. We actually now report to the to the Ministry of Jobs, Economic Recovery and Innovation. So, of course, our mandate is to support the province and to support innovators, entrepreneurs, to advance their ideas and to start their business, start their companies, grow and stay in BC. So we provide a couple of different fundings, opportunities, as well as support and connections to other organizations that also that have mandates that are aligned with ours. And so that's why we are supporting and this series, and we are building this collaboration and partnerships with Cando, because we understand we both have the same mandate, which is to support and growth the business and the individuals. So just a heads up, there will be some new hiring grants coming up in the summer. So hopefully in August, we will be announcing 2 new programs that involve hiring grants. So we would provide grants for business to hire youth, to support with digital adoption, with entrepreneurship. And so just keep an eye on that. And if you haven't subscribed to our newsletters, I suggest you do so. That's the easiest and fastest way to get the news. And as soon as the applications launch, you'll be notified and with the eligibility criteria. And I make myself available to answer any questions. I don't know if there's any way to share my email, and well, maybe I'll put my email address here in the chat. Is that okay? So I'll include my email address here. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions regarding our organization, our programs, and I'll be happy to connect. Thank you, everyone.
Woohoo, Fernanda. Thank you. You brought some good news. I always love to hear when there's grants that are being made available. So keep your eyes peeled on that. She actually just plugged in her email address. So please take note of that. Thank you for sharing the good work that Innovate BC is offering. I think partnership with Cando and offering these webinars, so vital, so important. So thank you so much for being here and letting us know what you're all about. All right, so let's go on to why we are here. We're here to learn, to grow, to be inspired, to walk away perhaps with some takeaway action items. So I am so honored to introduce Loa from Activ8, so which is her marketing agency. She's been in the business for about 20 plus years. So I believe I can say that she's an expert in this area. So we're in good hands this afternoon. She's going to talk about building capacity by inspiring entrepreneurship and career growth at your nation. You know, entrepreneurs, I feel like wherever I look, wherever I go, there's Indigenous entrepreneurs that have been doing this for years. There's new entrepreneurs stepping into the game. There's so much that we as Indigenous people have to offer. So we're so excited for today's presentation. She's a dynamic speaker. Whenever I hear her, I always have action items that I need to do, even in my own business and in my own life. So I trust that you will be stirred today in today's presentation. Loa has worked with progressive Indigenous communities in BC, passing along marketing, digital media, sales knowledge to Indigenous entrepreneurs who want to start and grow companies that they are passionate about. And that's what this is about, walking in our moccasins, walking in our path with passion. So thank you so much for joining us, Loa. I am passing the virtual mic to you.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for that wonderful introduction. You always bring so much positive energy to every single session. And Fernanda, thank you as well. And to Innovate BC for supporting Indigenous business. This is such an important area of growth for our economy. And we're just really happy that you came and joined us today and did a little bit of an intro as to what Innovate BC's mandate is around this area. So, and thank you everybody for joining us. It's so nice to see this group here today. I would love to be able to see your faces. It definitely makes it a little bit easier for me to connect with you and to be able to share information when I can actually see you. But that's okay. If you want to watch with your cameras off, I understand that too. So I just wanted to, before we get started, to express my sincere gratitude to being able to live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh people. It's been such an honor for me to be able to work with all three nations that I've been had the privilege of teaching in Indigenous entrepreneurship over the last 9 years. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 20 years, running my own marketing agency, as Michelle mentioned. So I'm really happy to be able to just share the experiences and the knowledge that I've been able to gain in both in entrepreneurship in general, as well as helping First Nation communities to encourage more Indigenous people to become entrepreneurs in their community, because there is so much that goes into not only one person creating prosperity for themselves and their families, but also that ends up translating to so much giving back and so much well-being for the community as a whole. So let's get into it. I'm just going to share my screen, and please, if anybody has questions, feel free to pipe up. I'd prefer you to hear you and see you ask the question, but you can also put it in the chat. And if I, for whatever reason, happen to miss it, then Elsie, could you please let me know? Okay, let's go. Let's get into it. Hopefully everybody can see the slides. Okay, so as I mentioned, I've been at this a while. I'm kind of dating myself, but this means that I've been able to work with a heck of a lot of really amazing, creative, talented Indigenous entrepreneurs. It all started back in 2011 when my friend and colleague, Gina Jackson, who was the small business officer at the Squamish Nation, who Kristen knows and has also worked with. She asked me if I would come and teach a social media course for the budding Squamish Nation entrepreneurs, which I did. And that was met with so much enthusiasm that I ended up working with Squamish Nation for many, many years and creating a 15-course business curriculum, which in sales, marketing, digital media, proposal writing, and mindset training that has now been taught to probably at least 10 different nations across BC. And in fact, one time I was flown up to as north in Alaska as there are human beings living to teach for Indigenous conglomerate there. So that was a pretty amazing experience. But I've also had the opportunity to work with Indigenous BC Business Award winners and even nominated a few. And I've just really loved this work. I'm super passionate about it. So I hope that I can share some information with you all today that will help to inspire you to encourage more entrepreneurship at your nation, or if you're a budding entrepreneur and you're interested in learning how to go about it, then hopefully you'll pick up some tips in that area as well. And just to give you a bit of a background about how I got into business, it was totally by accident. I actually got into the very beginning of my career in my early 20s. I started working for a stockbroker in the financial services industry. And he often, and by the way, I didn't have a formal education at the time, and I still don't. It's all my education has pretty much been self-taught. I've done some college courses, but everything that I've learned has been on the job. And you know, through my own self-learning and research. But yeah, I was working for a financial advisor, and he ran a business where he would raise money for small startup companies. And so he'd be traveling all over the world and leaving me to run his business. So at first I was like, what is happening here? How did I kind of got thrown into the lion's den because I didn't have a background in business at all. And so I thought, what is happening? I'm either going to sink or swim. So I learned what I needed to learn. I went and got educated in the areas that I needed to know about. And I started literally running his business for him while he was away months at a time. So, you know, that is really what gave me the confidence to understand that business ownership or business operation is not out of reach if you don't have some kind of fancy formal degree. And by the way, I'm not downplaying getting a formal degree. I think it's really important in life, and it really helps a lot with connections that will pave the way for career growth. But you don't have to have a formal degree to become a successful entrepreneur. So that is what I want to really ensure that a lot of people that I speak with who are interested in entrepreneurship that maybe don't have that confidence because they don't have a formal education, it doesn't matter. If you have the drive and you have the passion for a product or a service and a skill that you have, and you have the ability to go out there and promote it to people that can open doors for you or become customers, then that is what matters most. So we'll get into a little bit more of those details in a little bit, but I just wanted to really get that point across and tell you all that entrepreneurship is not an out of reach thing. It is a total reality. I know, especially to today's day and age with the internet and with access to so many resources, especially for Indigenous business owners, it's never been a better time to start and operate a company. So I don't know how many of you know this, but there are 46,000 Indigenous entrepreneurs in Canada right now. And Indigenous people are super entrepreneurial. They are starting and running businesses 9 times faster than non-Indigenous Canadians. Since 2011 to 2016, there's been a 44% increase in the number of Indigenous people that have started and been operating companies and successfully and thriving in this area. So it really does make sense for a lot of First Nations who are interested in encouraging entrepreneurship. And that can, by the way, be not only at the community level from active starting businesses, but also and really importantly, encouraging individual members to become entrepreneurs and to let them know and that you support them as a nation. That is super crucial in terms of creating that success within the community. And entrepreneurship also is really key for building capacity, and it builds prosperity, not just for the individual and their families, but for the whole community. And success breeds success. when, I've seen in so many cases, the entrepreneurs that I've taught, and Kristen as well. Kristen is an instructor with the BEST program, Aboriginal BEST program, but we both can attest to the fact that when people see their colleagues or their peers starting to go after their goals and their dreams of business ownership and being successful, then it gives them the belief in themselves that they can also do it, because they see the model and they see how it works, and they start to learn the steps that it requires to achieve that goal. It's not so out of reach anymore. So it really does make a difference in encouraging people when they see their peers succeeding. And right now, as of 2016, the Indigenous economy came in at about 32 billion, which is that's net gain to the economy, which is huge. And that the growth expected in this area is significant. Within the next 5 years, it's expected to clock in at about 100 billion in GDP. So it's actually growing. The Indigenous economy is growing faster than our average GDP in Canada is. So there's really just so much opportunity for Indigenous people to enter the economy and to really start companies that they love, they can be passionate about, and be able to give back as well. So on the topic of giving back, socially conscious business is now at the top of most entrepreneurs' minds. But almost every single Indigenous person that I know that has started a business, that is a top priority for them. Not just to ensure that their business is successful and makes money, but that it has significant components of giving back to community. And Indigenous people see wealth creation as not just financial gain, but for self, but having more than enough to share with others. And that obviously includes family, community, and caring for the environment. So having a business just allows, it's a tool and an avenue to allow Indigenous people to really be able to use their business as a platform for their value systems. Something else to keep in mind too is that we are a very connected country, especially through the pandemic. Canada's digital economy has just exploded. It literally almost every single person, with the exception of some rural areas, which we're going to touch on in a minute, has access to the internet. The majority of us now shop online. Who's an online shopper? Okay, I admit it. I am quite often. Yeah, I see a lot of hands being raised here, ladies. And e-commerce retail sales, so clocked in at about 25.4 billion in 2020, and that's expected to jump to 33.3 billion by 2024. That is huge growth, huge. And what that means is there is so much opportunity now to reach your market online. It doesn't just have to be about reaching people in real life through a storefront. Now you can take your storefront online, e-commerce, and your geographical borders are limitless. Like, you can literally attract people from everywhere, depending on what your product and service is, and who you're selling to. But it just opens up such a massive opportunity to reach a way larger market than we would have been able to reach before e-commerce became so big. And 85% of us as Canadians are active in social media. So this means it's super important as an Indigenous entrepreneur that you have really good digital skills, that you're digitally savvy and you're able to reach out and able to promote your products and services. And if this isn't something that you're comfortable with yet, it's important that you learn, you gain some training and you learn the skills. It's not that hard to learn. It just takes applying and finding the right training. So let's look at the internet. If anybody here that's on the call lives in a rural area, anybody? If you do, it's, I recognize that this has been a challenge for a lot of First Nation communities that aren't urban, because without internet access, it kind of makes it tough to have access to a lot of resources that we have access to in urban areas. So this has been the case for a very long time, which is like absolutely surprising and shocking to me that it has been in Canada. But nevertheless, there is a huge push now to get all of these rural First Nation communities connected. So for example, the Nisga'a Nation with 1,200 residents now has, everybody has high speed. And what this has allowed and enabled is there's greater ecotourism that's been attracted to their area, the area of Memorial Lava Bed Provincial Park. It has improved access to education, healthcare, and of course, entrepreneurship. So with the internet comes a lot more ability to build capacity and new business and new career growth. And this also is happening right across Canada, not just in BC, by the way. So there's large telecommunication companies that are partnering with the local and provincial governments to roll this out and make sure that this is our priority. So for example, Williams Lake also just has recently become connected. So what is an entrepreneur? You know, most of us think of an entrepreneur as, okay, I'm going to start or run a business. You're an entrepreneur. Well, yes, in one sense, but at the heart of it, entrepreneurship is about enterprising human action in the pursuit of the generation of value. You're creating value for others. And you're doing it through economic activity by identifying and commercializing new products, processes, or markets. And as I mentioned before, entrepreneurship can be at the nation level through the Activ Corporation, as well as at the individual membership level. And I would like to encourage any Activ officers on the call or any nation management to ensure that you're encouraging and supporting both sides of entrepreneurship, because it's really important that it's not just at the big development, in industrial development level, but also that individuals are receiving the support to start and run businesses that they can be passionate about, because they end up hiring other people in the community and they end up inspiring other people in the community. So an entrepreneurship, it's, you know, it's not, I don't want to lie, it's not an easy thing that you can just, you know, one day decide you're going to be an entrepreneur. It does take a lot of gumption. It takes believing in yourself and your ability to set a goal, a big goal, go after one, having a passion for what you do, because you're going to be married to that passion day in, day out. It's not about clocking out at 5 o'clock and not thinking about your business. When you're a business owner, you think about it 24/7. You're always curious about how can I make it better? You're always wanting to learn, wanting to grow, wanting to add greater value on behalf of your clients, and also create value for your whole entire business ecosystem, whether it's your vendors, your customers, your employees. You know, it's about creating value for everybody. And that's a big responsibility when you're a business owner. You also have to be able to take risks and be able to walk into the unknown and know that no matter what happens, you're going to be able to figure it out and you're going to be able to handle it. It's also about creating, everyday creating and learning, and just knowing that you have the ability to continue to grow a business and to create an incredible amount of value for others. So if that's your characteristics and that's something that you like a good challenge and you like to go after goals, then this is definitely entrepreneurship is a good idea for you. So let's take a bit of a poll here. Who can tell me who's embarking on their, like, from an Activ level on entrepreneurship? And if you just write in the chat yes or no, because we don't actually have a, well, or if anybody wants to turn on their cameras and let me know any examples that they're seeing in their community, that would be great. Actually, I'm going to be introducing you to a young entrepreneur that I just learned about through the Stolo Nation yesterday, Demi Peters, who has an incredible business that she's been running. And so I know that we've got one entrepreneur here. And what about anybody else? Natasha, how about you? What nation are you from?
Hi, I'm from Beaver Lake Cree Nation. We're actually located in Treaty 6 territory in northeastern Alberta.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we do have some entrepreneurship from our members. So mostly construction, civil construction. We have a couple forestry outfits. But recently we had somebody start up a supply company called Wassey Supplies.
Oh, right on. So it sounds like your nation is very supportive in this area.
For sure, but we're definitely looking to learn more.
Oh, that's good. Well, that's how we always get better and we grow, right? By learning more. But it's the fact that you even have you have a platform for supporting Indigenous entrepreneurship is amazing. So good for you. And I hope, thanks for sharing. I hope that you get some more tips from this presentation today. That's incredible. Anybody else?
Hi there.
Hi.
My name is Annie Charles, and I work for FHQ Developments here on Treaty 4 territory in Regina, Saskatchewan. So I'm new to the position, so I'm helping entrepreneurs within our ECDev department and also economic development itself. So it's all new information for me. So I've only been on board for about 4 months, but we are developing a list of our entrepreneurs within the nations that we help and serve, which are the 11 different nations for Falcon Hills Qu'Appelle Tribal Council.
Oh, wow. Oh, Annie, that is so good to hear. Oh, that makes me excited to hear that this is a movement that's really starting to take shape and grow, and to know that people like yourself are really interested in making sure that there is a lot of support there for the entrepreneurs. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
No problem. Thank you.
Anybody else want to share? Kristen, what have you seen lately? I know you've seen, are you there, Kristen? Kristen, there she is.
Yeah, sorry, I had it on mute. What have I seen lately? I got to go and do some work with Solid Community Futures. We did some tech tools training, and it was really great to be able to help people understand how they can build their own branding package. So we worked with a catering company, a professional photographer, a tourism business, a new tourism business that's launching. There's one lady who does like interior design and home renovations, and helps people set up healthy spaces to work and to live. So it's really a wide range. I would honestly say that in all the years that I've been honored to work in the communities, probably 70% of the students that I've had are females. And it was, for the longest time, most of them were kind of in their late 30s or 40s, and they had their kids up and rolling, and it was time to start their own thing before the grandkids started coming. So it's just a wide range. It's really exciting, and it is a good time to take advantage of all the programs and training and opportunities out there. So
100%. For all of you who are just joining, Kristen and I were both involved in Indigenous business training for different organizations. But we're both self-employed and also have our own marketing agencies. So yes, so Kristen and I both get to have the opportunity to meet a lot of really talented people who are doing really cool things in business.
yeah.
So, thank you so much, Kristen. Okay, so let's look at a First Nation that has been super uber successful in the area of supporting Indigenous business at the membership level. They also are the Squamish Nation, which is located in North Vancouver, British Columbia, is a nation that I mentioned where I actually got my start in Indigenous business training. And Kristen as well has worked with the Squamish Nation. So they really have put a lot of support and resources together to be able to help their members to start and run businesses that they can be passionate about. There's, like Kristen was saying, there's a variety of businesses that we've both seen where people have started literally in in different types of products and services, like DJs, running a DJ business for DJ Osho, who's become extremely successful in her own right. There's fashion, apparel, fashion designers that we know. There's Paul Natrell is a caterer, a chef, who's also started a successful Indigenous fusion food truck business. We know construction companies, online art businesses, artisans. Like there's just there's such a vast variety of the types of businesses that can be started and created to sell not only to individuals in their own community, but also the larger community as a whole. And part of the recipe of what makes the Squamish Nation so successful is because leadership, first of all, has to be on board. It has to be from the top down, where the council totally believes in entrepreneurship, and not only at the nation level, but the individual membership level, and puts specific programs into place like funding and training. And somebody on the inside, for example, Gina Jackson, my talented friend who was the small business officer at Squamish Nation for, I think it was about 13 years before she went on to work with a large national company as their VP of Aboriginal relations. But she, for the longest time, acted as a cheerleader and a coach internally for the people who were interested in entrepreneurship. So there was a model where people would be interested. They would speak to Gina. She would plug them into helping them to start their business plans and get funding and very essential training. So this is where myself and Kristen came into play. Kristen at the BEST program and myself helping them to learn about marketing, sales, and digital media, and also mindset training, because it does take a lot of self-determination and confidence to be able to start and run a business and to just stay on course and continue to go after what it is you want, no matter what happens in life. You know, things always come up in life that we have to navigate around. So this is the model that helped to create hundreds of entrepreneurs through the Squamish Nation. Many of my and Kristen's students have become BC Indigenous Business Award winners. And the reason for that is because they had the support. They had the support of their nation. They had the support of their peers. They had the support of their family and of the community. And so what that does is leads them to now running thriving businesses where they are giving back to their community. You know, they're giving back through job creation. They're giving back through causes that they believe in. And so it's super important that the nation's on board, leadership's on board in supporting entrepreneurship. And it sounds like from what I've heard on the call today, there are a number of nations that have this as a priority, not just at the Activ level, but also for the individual members. And that I can't even tell you how much that warms my heart to hear that, because this, you know, the $100 billion GDP that I talked about, it would be so great to see a large part of that coming from individual entrepreneurship. Obviously, major projects are going to take up a big portion of that, but that's why having nation leadership really give the individual members the type of education and funding and coaching and support needed to help them to become successful is so important. So here's another example, one example of an urban Indigenous entrepreneur who I have had the pleasure of working with, Curtis Thomas. He is with the Tsleil-Waututh Nation and he runs a plumbing company known as Warrior Plumbing. He started as a one-person operation back about 10 years ago. And by the way, he is just, if you ever have the opportunity to meet him, he's like the nicest person ever and so creative and so just wonderful to be around. But he started in his early 30s and he grew from a one-person plumbing operation to now 13. He employs 13 staff members, the majority of who are Indigenous. He has an Indigenous youth training program where it's one of his biggest mandates with running his business is is attracting, hiring, and training Indigenous youth so that they can also expand their career growth and be able to have a career in the trades that pays really well, is stable no matter what is going on in the economy. And also his staff is really, it's really important to them that they're giving back. So they're constantly doing amazing causes within the community. If elders need help with their pipes, they'll drop everything and run over there to help them. It's just such a nice group of people to be associated with, because they really care so much about helping others and giving back, and while also working on large scale developments at a commercial level from their plumbing services. So it's, it really does make a huge difference in terms of individual membership, individual members starting and running businesses, because the ripple effect is huge. And not only in the community, but Kurt also does things like he goes down on a volunteer trip to Mexico, where he helped to build houses for people in families in need. That was pre-COVID, of course. So this is just one example. And then we've got the beautiful Demi Peters, who I have not yet had the pleasure of meeting, but through my friend and colleague at the Stalo Community Futures, Rosale, who's their CEO there, she introduced me to Demi's business, which is in more of a rural area. And she's got a microblading studio. She started her business in her early 30s. And Demi, if there's any corrections required on your story, please pipe up. But I was so impressed at the fact that, she started during COVID. And what a time to start a business, a small business. I mean, talk about overcoming the obstacles. But it's something she was passionate about in terms of serving the women in her community. And so she started her business. She went to Stolo Community Futures for some help with financing resources and probably did some training as well. And she invested as well some of her own funds in starting her company. And she's since been, in the last couple of years, been operating a thriving small business where she's making women in her town look beautiful. So isn't that a wonderful case study to hear? Again, when you think, something is out of reach, it's not. It's not. It is so unbelievably available if you just have the confidence to set a goal for business ownership, to go after it, and to let people help you. Like, go find the resources, because there's so many resources available for Indigenous entrepreneurs. And it's just a matter of reaching out and not being shy, just believing in yourself. So Demi, did you want to say a couple words about how this experience has been for you? I know she's here. Demi, are you there? No. Okay. That's okay. Hopefully I got your story correct. But yeah, kudos to you, Demi, for starting your business and going after what it is that you're passionate about and making a difference. So now let's look at a more remote nation entrepreneurship example. Some of you who are located in BC may have heard of the Spirit Bear Lodge. So it's located in Klemtu, BC, which is a very remote location in the heart of the Great Bear Rainforest, about 120 kilometers off the coast of Bella Coola. That community consists of literally 420 people. So it's very, very tiny. And you'd think, wow, in a community that small, what kind of economic opportunities are available for people besides logging and fishing, traditional industries? Well, the nation, the Hayes Nation, they realized that there's a real opportunity for ecotourism. And so they built this beautiful lodge. And they've created all these incredible ecotourism opportunities or activities for people to come and experience First Nation culture, as well as, get away and in the heart of nature and just really get recharged and revived. So they've been very successful at building this tourism business. And as well, they've been able to hire about 10% of the people in their community, which is pretty significant. And it also has created more diverse employment over, not everybody wants to go into logging and fishing, right? Especially if you're, you're a type of person, like you're a people person, you maybe love tourism, or you love nature and being out there. And how about starting a tourism company where you can walk people through your culture and teach them about the language? And, it's really an amazing thing that this nation has done, because they have created so much economic prosperity, and that's also enabled them to renew their culture and revitalize their language. And the profits are being reinvested back into these areas, as well as into youth development, environmental stewardship, and also further business expansion. So that's another example of what's possible. And I think, even people who are living in a small rural community, it's, you just need to be creative and think about what opportunities exist with the resources that are around us, where we can also protect the environment and protect our culture and our language. So, this is a really good example of how to do that.
They also, for their Spirit Bear initiative too, they also did eco and marine research.
Oh, amazing.
That's come from that as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Michelle, who's just saying that? I can't see everybody all at once.
It's Georgia. I live Bella Bella. We're actually closer to them than Bella Coola is.
Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for speaking up and sharing that. That's amazing. Yeah. Since I learned about the lodge, now I'm super interested. I want to go there.
And when you're there, come to Bella Bella too, because we just bought Shearwater.
Oh, you did? Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Heltzik have just bought it was already like a tourist base called Shearwater.
Oh, okay.
Shearwater Marine and Resort. The Heltzik had just bought it back, so it's been like a land back movement, and we've overtaken ownership on July 1st.
Oh, amazing. Oh, okay. Well, now I've got 2 places to visit. Well, we'll definitely have to make sure that we connect after this.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, Georgia. And that reminds me, everybody. It's such a good opportunity for us all to network with each other since we're on this call. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, that's probably one of the easiest ways for us to stay in contact. So please put it in the chat if you do, and I'll also do it as well. And otherwise, I'm trying to think of another way. I mean, I'm in all the social media channels, so please feel free to connect with me under Activ8 Inc. But I would love to stay in touch with all of you too in some way, shape, or form. So great. Okay, so let's get, I think our time's really getting short here. Okay, so procurement strategies. Let's quickly touch on that. It's super amazing to be able to understand how to, as an Indigenous business, whether it's at the Activ level or as an individual member, entrepreneur, to take advantage of procurement strategies. Now, that these exist at both the municipal, regional, so provincial and federal levels, where there's been money and projects earmarked with Indigenous entrepreneurs as the priority first. And then there is also opportunities at the corporate level, both big and small, large and small corporations across Canada have Indigenous procurement mandates. So if you have some knowledge of which companies and which government organizations are offering projects to out for tender, then you can start to bid, and you will actually have advantages that a lot of non-Indigenous entrepreneurs. A lot of Indigenous people don't know this and don't know all of the opportunities that exist in the procurement area. So that's why I also would recommend that that Activ departments make sure that they know all of the ins and outs of the procurement strategies, both at the nation level as well as for the individual entrepreneurs, because this is such a huge competitive advantage. I can't even tell you. And it's important too in order to take advantage of these opportunities, that Indigenous entrepreneurs have an understanding of how their business must be structured. It has to be a 51% Indigenous owned business. So you have to be majority owned. And if you have employees of 6 people or more, then 33% of your employees must be Indigenous to be able to qualify for their procurement criteria. So by understanding all this that exists in the procurement space, there's just so much. I recognize it can be a little bit overwhelming because where do you go? It's like there's, but for example, Fernanda might have some really great suggestions for you. And also if you're just able to go to the website and see and register, for example, there's under the Indigenous Business Directory, you can register there, and a lot of corporations will go there to try and find Indigenous suppliers for their supply chain in products or services. So important that you register there, and just also think about all the companies that you as a business would be interested in working with, and go and check out all their individual procurement strategies and mandates, because there's a lot of them. Most of the large companies in Canada have some kind of procurement model in place. Okay, and then the other resource that's really important to know about is the Aboriginal financial institutions like Stolo, Community Futures, like Telehealth Corporation. These are financial institutions that are that exist specifically to assist Indigenous entrepreneurs in starting their businesses, getting resourced up, and also attracting, being able to attract financing and funding. Many of the funding opportunities that exist are grants, so they're either non-repayable grants or loans, or they're in some cases they're matching, where you put in, for example, $10,000, and then the Aboriginal Financial Institute will put in $10,000. So that provides a lot of help around getting the funding that's required to start a business. So we already talked about a few business ideas, and in this, for the sake of time, I'm just going to try and get through these last few slides so that you get all the tips and tricks. So it's really important when you start a business to know your why. So as an entrepreneur, you must love what you're doing, because you're, as I mentioned before, you're going to be doing it every day. You're going to be thinking about it probably 24/7. It's so important that you're passionate about it. It's also really crucial that you have the skills and at least some experience in the field that you're going into. And if you don't, then go and volunteer for somebody that's already doing it, so that you can gain that experience. It's really helpful if you're outgoing and if you're motivated and driven to succeed, and that you're able to form relationships with others and sell your ideas, your products, and your services. Without having that ability, it's going to make business ownership really tough. So if you're a little bit on the shyer side, then it's important to start doing some confidence building training and some mindset training to really help you to bring you out of your shell a little bit, so that you can go out and really connect with the people that are going to be able to open doors for you. And it's important as well to have a good support network. Obviously, having nation support with coaching and training and having your nation behind you is really important, as well as having family and friends that will be there to lift you up. Because there's going to be days, not lying, where you'll be asking yourself, what the heck am I doing, and why am I doing this? I mean, I'm sure we all have those days, no matter what, if you're in business ownership or not. But, it's especially tough sometimes if you have a month that's maybe not as prosperous as other months, and you start to wonder, is it ever going to be coming in again? Because that's just the nature of entrepreneurship. You always have to be going out there and making connections and attracting new customers. So it's not easy, but it's definitely worth it. It's so rewarding. And any of the entrepreneurs on this call, I'm sure will say the same. It's also important to be able to access credit, that you have built your credit. And if there is an issue with credit at the moment, then go out and start to find resources to rebuild it, because you're likely going to need that in order to attract funding and financing. And then we talked on procurement strategies and also how important it is to gain adequate training for operations and learning how to how to hire people, how to hire suppliers, how to hire employees, how to do your accounting, how to raise money for your business, and especially marketing and sales. Without marketing and sales and being able to promote yourself, it's going to be very, very difficult to attract new customers. So marketing and sales training is crucial. And ultimately, you need to have patience and be resilient. And I think that a lot of you have many of those skills, and you have people at your nation that have many of those skills and characteristics. So I'm going to play
Many of us want to become entrepreneurs. Starting your own business is one of the biggest dreams of our times. But how do you get to be an entrepreneur? Most of the advice focuses on the practicalities, writing a business plan, raising money, finding staff, marketing and PR. We'll go down a different route. In our eyes, at the heart of successful entrepreneurship lies something oddly more abstract, accurate insight into the causes of human unhappiness. To be an entrepreneur means essentially to become an expert in the things that make life difficult for people. That's because every properly ambitious business is in some way trying to fix things for other people. The bigger and more original what you're trying to fix happens to be, the more successful your business can be. Because consumer society is now well developed, it may be easy to think that all the big problems out there already have thousands of fixes anyway. Think of all those car companies or pizza outlets or news websites. We surely have enough of everything. What could we possibly add to what's already out there? But to get a sense of the vast opportunities that still remain in capitalism, all you need to do is ask yourself where and in what areas you're unhappy in the course of an average day. Every unhappiness is really a new business waiting to be born. Frustrations are a nearly inexhaustible source of raw materials out of which the businesses of the future can be built. So while there may already be plenty of breakfast cereals and t-shirts and cell phones and cab rides for sale, there's so much more that frustrates and depresses us. Think of how difficult it is to get on with one's partner.
Oops. Sorry. One sec. How'd that happen?
We surely have enough of everything. What could we possibly add to what's already out there? But to get a sense of the vast opportunities that still remain in capitalism, all you need to do is ask yourself where and in what areas you're unhappy in the course of an average day. Every unhappiness is really a new business waiting to be born. Frustrations are a nearly inexhaustible source of raw materials out of which the businesses of the future can be built. So while there may already be plenty of breakfast cereals and t-shirts and cell phones and cab rides for sale, there's so much more that frustrates and depresses us. Think of how difficult it is to get on with one's partner, educate children, cope with anxiety, discover what you want to do with your life, find a nice place to live, calm down in the evening. One could go on and on. Our griefs and irritations are endless, thankfully for the budding entrepreneurs. The biggest first step to take towards entrepreneurship is therefore to learn to study your own unhappiness and what might possibly heal it for you and others. When profits decline in businesses, it's really the result of too many people throwing themselves at trying to fix the same area because they can't think of anything more innovative to do rather than start a new airline, mobile phone company, or supermarket chain. And by contrast, healthy profits are a reward for understanding and mastering an area of human distress ahead of anyone else. Of course, ideas aren't enough on their own. You need to take care of practicalities and money, but they won't help you if your original psychological insight into human unhappiness isn't sound. And by the same token, if your insight into what makes people unhappy is razor sharp and your solutions bold, then however difficult the journey, your business will stand a high chance of making money and benefiting humanity too.
Okay, so as that video, what did y'all think of the video? Did it make sense? Problem solvers, right? That's what we need to be as entrepreneurs. We need to be problem solvers, whether we're solving somebody's pain or we're creating some kind of increased pleasure in their life, which also is solving a pain, because whether it's, you know, somebody that loves to go out in nature, then you're offering them an opportunity to learn about that nature, as if you're in tourism, or if it's somebody that wants to have some kind of cosmetic products that are really natural, then you're solving that problem for them because they're really concerned about the environment, or they're concerned about what they put into their bodies. So you're solving a problem. So there are so many incredible business ideas that, as an entrepreneur, or whether it's at the nation level or individual member, that you could be providing to people. It's just a matter of knowing where the need is in your community. And also, don't forget, the borders are now quite endless with being able to sell and market your products and services online. So it's there really is so much opportunity. It's just a matter of finding out what area it makes sense to go into for the market that you want to serve, and then taking the right steps to get there. So I've got some rural business ideas here. I don't know how many of us on the call are living in rural areas, but for example, there could be a rural shipping warehouse and operations center, especially now that, you know, the Amazons of the world are able to reach a lot of locations, but not always able to reach those rural areas. So I think that's a new area of opportunity that's popping up as people especially start moving from the cities more into the rural areas, because they can work remotely. There's also companies like local tech support. You know, everybody has some kind of issue with whether it's stereo equipment, setting it up, or computer, you know, not knowing what's going on with your computer. Also, there's small scale hardware supply stores, or even running an ATM machine and taking some licensing that and taking some profits off of ATM services. Daycare services, action sports rental services for people who want ecotourism. Like, there's so many opportunities for both urban and rural independent entrepreneurs. But at the end of the day, it's really important that not only do you have a good product or service that's in demand and is needed in your community or in the market that you want to serve, but that you're good at forming relationships. Because at the end of the day, we all buy from companies and people that we know, like, and trust. You know, that is such an important component. And the more people that you know and that you can network with and expand your network, the more doors are going to open, the more customers are going to be aware of what it is you're doing and be attracted to your business. And of course, you have to be able to promote what it is you're doing. It's if people don't know you exist, how are they going to know to buy from you? So it's really important, these two pieces, as well as the motivation piece, and staying persistent and setting your goals and going after your business goals. So in summary, if we look at the action steps that will be really helpful for you to take, whether you're an individual entrepreneur or at the nation level ECTAV, knowing your why you want to start this business. What's the primary motivation? You know, what is it? Do you want to create more prosperity for your people? Is there a service that's really required? Do you want to become their ISP, for example, so that people are more connected? What kind of value do you want to create for people? And discuss any ideas that you have with your nation if you want to start a business at the ECTAV level, or if you are encouraging individual members to become entrepreneurs, you know, open the floor for them to come to you and be a coach, be a cheerleader for them. That's what made Squamish Nation so successful in this area with so many entrepreneurs and award winners, is because they had somebody on the inside who is really passionate about helping people to become business owners. Also, as established procurement policies, make sure that you know all the opportunities, both with the governments as well as corporations that have large mandates to fill for their procurement in working with Indigenous businesses. Tap into the business training programs that are out there, like mine at Activ8, like Kristen's, like the BEST program, and make sure that your people are getting the adequate training in marketing and sales and operations and mindset training, most importantly, that they need to be successful. Also have that person that is an ongoing coach for people, because I think we can all probably relate to the fact that sometimes we're more motivated some days than others. Some days we need a little extra support and encouragement, and someone that's going to say, hey, you can do that. Or, hey, have you thought about going to this resource or accessing this this particular service, or have you thought about reading this book that'll help you get past that hump that you're facing right now? So make sure that there is definitely the support that is required for people to become their best and to become their most successful selves. And if there's anything that I can do for any of you, any resources I can share, any information or knowledge that I can share over and above what I just did in this hour, then please contact me. My email address, I will put that, as well as my LinkedIn, in the chat, and my telephone number is here if you want to take a screenshot of it. And I just thank everybody so much for being here today. And you've all been really wonderful. I really appreciate you engaging and letting me see who and hear who you are and where you're from. So thank you again. And I'll hand it back to Michelle.
Woohoo! All right. So round of applause for our amazing Loa. She's so great, right? So thank you so much. You brought some really good tips. You brought some inspiration. I really loved what you said at the beginning about entrepreneurship. It's about bringing and creating value. And that kind of changes that narrative, right? That we're not just offering, goods and services, we're offering a value. And I love that. And also the stories that you brought today. I always am so inspired when I hear those stories. So thanks for sharing that. The hour is up, but if anyone has a question, we could take one question. You can unmute yourself, you can put it in the chat box, whatever's most comfortable. Just again, Loa had put her contact information in there. So this is an amazing, incredible resource right in front of you. So feel free to reach out to her. Yes, it's possible to get a copy of this presentation. I believe Elsie will be sending that out to everybody. From my understanding, if you want to correct me, Elsie, please do so. But any pressing question out there before we part ways here? The thing I love about this webinar is the connection and the network that we can have. I know with Loa, my first session with her, a couple of months ago, I didn't have a LinkedIn account, and I signed up and put all my information out there. So that's also a really good network too. Okay, well, it seems like we don't have any questions. We are so thankful that you have joined us this afternoon. I feel like, and every time I'm with Loa, I feel like I have to go do some stuff. I have some action items, and I love that. So thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for the passion, stirring that fire, within us. Sometimes, it's like a pot of good stew. And sometimes that good stuff sinks to the bottom and it needs a good stir every once in a while. So thank you for stirring the pot in a good way. Thank you everybody for joining us. We are so grateful. So again, we want to give a shout out to Creator for the gift of this moment that we can still virtually connect with one another, from province to province. And I just love the community that's being built here. So thank you all, and our guest speaker, Loa, and I thank Innovate BC for really sponsoring this webinar. I hope you continue on in a good way for the rest of your day, that you honor your spirits, you honor Creator, you honor all that is around you, the land, the animals, the plants, community. So have a great day, everyone. Peace.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everybody.